everyone. I just wanted to do a video, let you know what's going on. I kind of figured out what was going on with the settings. Now you have to understand that in this FMS, I'm not running a standard, reflex 2 and a standard receiver, so on and so forth. I opted in for a SpeedyBee F405 wing. So as you can see, I've got the ELRS receiver sticking up through there. But it's down in there. You can kind of almost make it out. But everything works pretty well. Now, the only problem with the crashes that I was having was first off, I needed to adjust a horn here, because no matter what I did, it was just, it was all up trim, and that was giving me some major issues. I also had this issue of my expo settings and how that's not going to work right. So what I did was calmed it down a little bit. Finally got my expo set, and now my movements are nice and subtle. So I still got my full range of movement if I need it. It's a little bit more subtle on that center stick, and that's going to help a lot. See, I got a lot of movement going on there, but it's giving me a little bit of movement here. And we all know that's what expo does. But the idea was that this thing was pitching really hard, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I set and I'd already set the expos on this, but I forgot what switch I had the rates set for. So like, this is full rates, if you want to go completely crazy with it. And then you've got your expos. So you can still get almost your full throw, but I think I limited the throw too. And then I went into the sub trims and I made sure all this was nice and even. Now, the great part about this is it will self-level, because it does have that. It is a SpeedyBee. So you can kind of hear it trying to compensate to a degree. But if I turn on horizon mode, it's going to automatically just hold that thing to the horizon, no matter what. So that's going to be interesting. Not sure if I'm going to really use that one too much. I thought about programming some nav waypoints, give that a shot, see how it works out. But I thought, you know what? Right now it's working. The prop's working just fine. It's printed up just nicely. So we're going to just go with that. So it's going to be, I've got a timer set for 3 minutes. I don't know if it's, if that battery will last longer or not. Basically, we'll run it until we just have servos, which I probably shouldn't do. We'll run it 3 minutes. How about that? And then I've got to get some better 11.1 volts, because that one in there is like 10 years old, and I can't believe it still works. So, and I hadn't planned on doing anything with this. I got this for a gift on Father's Day, and I was like, that's really nice. I love the plane. I've always loved this plane. Who doesn't? But it's remarkably hard to fly if you don't have the CG right, and if you don't have expo. And I didn't have, at the time, a FlySky that I could just drop a 6-channel receiver in and then use the reflex too. I haven't even used the reflex on this thing. Never touched it. So, other than when it came with it. So, this was sort of my ELRS experiment with, you figure you would do this kind of setup on a UAV, where you'd have the SpeedyBee, you'd have your modes, you have all your loitering set, you'd have your waypoint set if you wanted to run waypoints, so on and so forth. But I wanted to see how it would work in a Warbird. So now that we've got everything repaired again, and you have to understand this thing has been through some crashes. It's been reinforced, it's been rebuilt, it's a little off, a little gap. But that's because the battery, like I said, is bigger than the original. So when I fly this again, and that'll probably be tomorrow, this is going to be a pretty good test. I've got everything kind of nulled out now. So really now it's going to be about CG. And I believe it's right along here. So I'm going to double check what the CG, where it's supposed to be, make sure that the battery sits where it is, and then I'm going to mark where that's going to be. And then we're going to cross our fingers and do this again. So hope you all tune in for that. Look for that video if you don't find it right off the bat. If you don't have the bell clicked for notifications, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Because this ELRS test of this kind of system on a small warbird is it's actually been quite interesting. Because this is a tough plane. FMS, Big Beautiful Doll, P51. It's a tough plane. I mean, I've smashed the crap out of this thing, and it still looks good, you know? A little beat up, but it looks good. And it's still symmetric, you know? Things are lined up. And, I mean, I got to print a prop every time, but who cares, right? Drop some CA glue down into the mount, hang it up on a tri-again, and you're good to go, you know? Who's complaining about that, right? But if I can reuse a plane a couple of times doing some testing, then I'm a happy man. If this thing works out great and becomes a good flyer, I'm going to leave it alone, probably get a better battery, a newer one anyway, just to be safe, and then go on to the next thing, because this ELRS was all just sort of a learning phase for me, and I figured it out with the Shrike drone. But when I do the Shrike XL, which is 4 of those bad boys on one of the biggest drones you've ever seen, running off of 4 of these, you know, I mean, it's going to be fun. But the motor and the ESC is going to arrive first for these girls here. And then we're going to get this going. And that should be interesting. I know you're hearing the rubbing, but that's because it's not mounted up on the shaft of the motor yet. This is the mount. Made it a little bit more robust this time. So, should do fairly well. So cross your fingers on that one. But tomorrow, for sure, P51 time. We're going to see what we can do about get this thing flying straight, flying true, flying low enough where you can actually enjoy watching it. So, stick around.